Hi. If you are one of those people who have a strong liking for vintage string synths and wants to start to collect all these excellent vintage electronic music production relics, I really don't recommend it, unless money isn't an issue. If you still want to build retro walls of sound, you urgently need alternatives, preferably for your studio computer. In this video I introduce you to a really hot tool in this direction, the East-West String Machine, a plugin that could scare the exciting market. My name is Bernd Kistenmacher and now let's run the intro. If you look through relevant websites for the collector's market and watch out for classics such as Roland RS505, Paraphonic Strings, Arp-Solina, Oberheim OBX or even a Roland Jupiter 6, then most of the prices that are now being asked should take your breath away. Of course, I did not make the above selection of Poly keyboards at random. They are indeed the sound basis on which the people from East-West built their virtual instrument String Machine. If you download this plugin, you will get 13 GB samples in 44.1 kHz audio quality. So this plugin wants to be an homage in spirit, but not a one-to-one copy of a specific instrument. The first thing you will need is an iLok. The presence of an iLok account is mandatory, and it doesn't matter whether you save a purchased licenses on your computer or on a mobile iLok key. In other words, if you don't have an account, you have to get one or you will not participate in the East-West program. Thinking is a key. A new customer should perhaps do a needs analysis with regard to the plugins to be purchased in the future. Whether they only want to access this one plugin at first, or whether they want to build up a more extensive library from East-West later, in any case there are several ways to acquire the licenses. The currently favored model from East-West is a Composer Cloud Plus, a huge database that gives access to the complete range of over 42,000 instruments from all genres. Composer Cloud Plus allows you to preview and to download them. This package would then also contain the String Machine. Access to the complete Hollywood Orchestra is also included. The Composer Cloud Plus is available in a monthly or a yearly subscription. If you have a weak internet connection, you can alternatively choose the Composer Cloud and the Sound Data HD package. This hard drive contains the sound data of all applications that will be activated by either purchasing individual licenses or the Composer Cloud Plus subscription. Alternatively, you can also purchase the Hollywood Orchestra Opus Edition Sound Data HD, which contains the sound files of the entire orchestra. You then also need the corresponding overall license for this, but you do not need the Composer Cloud Plus subscription. In addition, of course, the String Machine is not included in this package. So let's start from the simplest case and get the String Machine only. This plugin is available as a single license or as spoken in combination with the Composer Cloud Plus subscription. If you purchase an instrument of the latest generation, you will also need and get the latest engine to play the instrument, I mean Opus. You could do your own workshop about Opus, as the software is much more than just a pure engine. Opus might be described as a mini DAW that runs on Mac OS 12 and Windows 11. In any case, the software ranks somewhere between Kontakt, Complete Control and Vienna Ensemble Pro 7, to name some of the competitors. After successful installation via the East-West Installation Center, you first have to open Opus and make a few basic settings that affect the audio engine, the access to hard drives, MIDI settings for the attached master keyboard and a lot more. One should perhaps also take a look at the audio buffer of the interface used. If it is set too tight, audio distortion could occur. That was the case for me, and when I set the buffer to 1024 samples, things calmed down again. Initially, Opus is presented as a browser. The top menu bar shows tabs labeled with Browse, Play, Perform and Mix. First, a click on Browse should be enough. Below this menu bar is the main display area, a sub-window that shows which plugins are installed. This area provides information about the available content separated in instruments, categories, presets and so on. Quick orientation is also possible with more complex plugins than the String Machine. To the right of this area you will find the inspector. The inspector provides further information about the plugin used. Left of the main display area is the instrument rack area, which displays each loaded instrument. Here you will get info about the used audio and MIDI channels and which volume and panorama is set. There's also a mute and a solo button. Finally, below the main display area you can see the virtual keyboard area, which can also turn on and off. This area is an information medium for the set keyboard sounds. Jumping to the Perform tab, separate sounds can be set for each instrument, which in turn also depends on the tonal range of the loaded instruments. Now let us return to the Browse tab and click on the entry EW String Machine in the main display area. You can see that you can get access to 17 presets. The empty preset has been created by myself. You load a preset by double-clicking on the corresponding entry and open up the Play window in the top menu bar. The rendering of the String Machine looks so good that I wish it would be a real keyboard. Here East-West did clearly a bow to the RS505 paraphonic strings. Connoisseurs know, the VP330 string vocoder and the RS505 paraphonic strings had their very own special charm with their bulky toggle switches, order controls and the graphic design of the user panel. So nostalgic should feel right at home here. The first thing that catches your eye is the centrally located instrument section. 4 identical but color-separated areas, each with a central volume control, 4 controls for a classic ADSR envelope, toggle switches for activating the individual registers and a push button for each register, which is labeled ALT, that means alternative. The first section offers registers for string machines, separated by 60s, 70s and 80s, as well as pad sounds A, B and C. There's an ALT button for each register for accessing an alternative timbre of the respective waveform. All registers can be combined and played together as desired. With the ADSR envelope, everything can be set between percussive to slow volume progression. No classic string keyboard without chorus effects. 2 additional switches can be used to add chorus and ensemble chorus effects. In this section you are in the acoustic area of the vintage string synthesizers. The logic of the first section is continued in the other sections. Section 2 contains 4 registers with the string sounds violins, violas, cellos and basses, including the alternatives without vibrato. You can use the modulation wheel to crossfade between 2 dynamic levels. In this section you will find a very natural sounding string ensemble that can be turned into the sound of a string synthesizer by using the ADSR and the chorus effects, if you want. Section 3 is responsible for the solo woodwinds and brass sounds. By pressing the buttons you decide again whether the sounds are played with or without vibrato. As with the string section, the extensive pool of high-quality orchestral samples is also used here. Of course, they do not sound like top A-class libraries like the large Hollywood orchestra, but still authentic enough to build your own beautiful sounding orchestra. By the way, the instruments from sections 2 and 3 are assigned to their correct note ranges. You cannot play a flute down to the bass range. In the virtual keyboard, the instruments are displayed as zones according to the range of their notes. The fourth and last section is responsible for choirs and solo voices. 5 registers give access to men's choir, women's choir, men's vintage choir, women's vintage choir and female voice. You can use the Alt button to switch each voice from O to R. ADSR and chorus effects allow individual adjustments again. This was only the instrument section so far. You can already guess what numerous possible combinations are available. The end of the road is far from being reached here. Above the instrument controls area is the global controls area. Here you can set the overall volume, the panorama, the width of the stereo field and a cut-off filter that runs over the complete sound. 4 send controls and 4 reverb switches allow the user to assign individual reverb effects to each section. Settings made can be stored as your own snapshot or as your own instrument. A word about the mix section, which in case of our loaded string machine displays a mixer channel for each individual section, to which an extremely extensive effects rack is assigned. This is the place where a huge number of effects can be discovered. Sound design happens here. 4 effects and 4 effect sends for each echo are already loaded in each section to create a typical retro sound. Additional effects can be loaded by pressing on the plus sign. All effects are of high audio quality and anything but cheap. In addition, there is a separate reverb channel for each section, in which reverb models can be loaded for every situation. The sky doesn't seem to be the limit here, but rather the used computer. The mix section really impressed me with its possibilities. For the sake of completeness, I would like to point out that you can of course also unload the effect racks of each section and populate them with your own settings from scratch. More? More. This naturally raises the question of whether it is possible to load multiple instances of the string machine in Opus. You can. Above the main display area is a small Add button. If you now select a specific preset, you can add it by pressing Add. The new preset will then appear in the instrument rack area and will automatically be set to the next MIDI channel. Another virtual keyboard is displayed in the Perform tab and the mixer for the currently selected preset is then displayed in the Mix tab. You can also, if available, go to another plugin in the Browser tab and select Acquire Multi-Instrument, for example. This will also be added to the instrument rack, which means that completely individual racks can be assembled in Opus. The possibilities are extremely extensive and bring your Opus construction into regions of a mini DAW. And to pump this fully up, you can load as many instances of them into your real DAW as you want and as you can. Only your computer says stop. In addition to the actual player, the player window itself contains another tab called MIDI Tools. This is initially empty. There is a plus sign in the upper right corner. If you click on it, a submenu opens in which, among other things, an arpeggiator and other MIDI editors can be inserted. And put an eye on the Automation tab. If Opus is loaded in a DAW, dynamic sound changes in the string machine can be recorded as automation lanes in the DAW. I hope that I was able to work out a little bit how complex the string machine is in interaction with the Opus engine and how many possibilities result from it. The string machine can sound vintage, but it can also sound very modern and up to date. This is not at least due to the quality of the supplied samples as well as the extremely good sounding and numerous effects in the mix section. The look of the plugin may be a little deceptive. The String Machine is by no means just a virtual replica of a classic vintage string synthesizer. It's a cool sample-based engine that leaves nothing to be desired whether you use it standalone or in a DAW. The spectrum of samples offered ranges from classic synth waveforms to modern orchestral samples. This enables the design of a comprehensive sound image. The simple nature of the sound design process allows the user to adjust sounds as quickly as possible. You don't have to tweak the sounds for a long time and you will get usable polyphonic results very quickly. The choirs inspired me the most. You can see them like a cherry on the cream cake by putting them over a well-founded bed of string sounds. They take the whole sound picture to another level. This is also due to the fantastic reverb presets with which you can beautify each section individually. The price for the String Machine is not cheap, at 199 euros, but in my opinion it is absolutely fair. The String Machine is worth every penny because you can use it in many musical contexts, not just only in the classic areas of electronic music production. Recommended. And if you liked my video, I hope I get a thumb up from you and you subscribe to my channel. And we see us in the next video. Goodbye.